Hello guys, this is CodeNCode and this is 13th lecture of Java Design Pattern series. Right? In this lecture, we are going to learn about the behavioral pattern. So basically, we are going to get started with the behavioral pattern category. And the first design pattern that we'll be learning in the behavioral design pattern is observer pattern. Pattern is very important and also very easy to understand and implement. Right? So let's get started. So the observer pattern. So the observer pattern is a behavioral design pattern. We already know that, and that defines a one-to-many dependency between the objects. Right. So you have a system which you have multiple classes. So what the behavioral pattern does, it defines a relationship between objects which is of a kind one-to-many. Right. What is this? We'll understand this with a lot of example and of course the code. So bear with me. Now, when one object, which is called the subject, so we have one-to-many relationship, the one object is the subject in one-to-many relationship. And all of its dependents, right, the many part are the observers. So we have one subject and many observers, right? And they are automatically notified and updated whenever something happens inside the subject, right? Like notification system. Right. So yeah, this is your observer pattern. Let's understand this with some examples, right? So let's start with the motivation. The first one is the event listener. So if you have worked with any kind of GUI application, you might have heard of the listeners, right? So even in Android, JavaScript, or any other GUI application that you have worked on, you have event listeners. So basically, whenever something happens, you want to listen to that. For example, let's take an example of button click. Button click is an event that you have a button on the HTML page. When you click it, an event has occurred. So you might have requirement when a certain button is hit. For example, login button. So whenever someone presses the login button, you want to do something, right? So that is one of the example of the listener. So whenever you can implement the same using the observer pattern, right? So whenever there's something changes in one thing, that is a button in our example, right, there may be a lot of listeners that might be listening to the same event. They wanted to do a lot of things. For example, one of the listener wanted to change the GUI, that I have clicked on uh, login button, you need to update the GUI, right? And another one wanted to send a request to the server that this is the username, this is the password, is this correct or not? Basically, the login activity, right? So you have one event or one button which is the subject and a lot of listeners, right? So we have event listeners, then we have data model changes, right? And then we have one of the other examples, stock price changes. So if you have used any stock application, be it Zerodha or Upstock or anything, so whenever a price change happens of a stock, a lot of things get updated. For example, if you are looking at the chart gets updated. You are looking at the real-time price of the stock, that gets updated, the GUI element, right? So a lot of things gets updated when a stock price changes. So a stock you can understand as a subject, and whatever thing that gets updated, right, based on that, they needed the updated price. So all of those things will be your subject, right? Same goes here. If you have some presentation or let's say pie chart or any kind of presentation which depends on data which is real time, whenever the data changes, that is your data model, you have to update the screen or current screen, and all of the chart that you have presented, right? So again, data changes and you have to represent the same data here. So basically, whenever one thing changes, there may be one or more than one thing that needs to know whether that change has occurred or not. So if you have this kind of dependency or feature requirement in your project, you're probably going for the observer pattern, right? And it happens a lot. Now, this was the motivation part. Let's look at the benefits of the observer pattern. Right, let's start with this. First of all, it promotes loose coupling. The reason is that the subject doesn't know anything about the uh, observers, right? It doesn't know anything about the observers, so you are promoting the loose coupling. So you can build the subject in its own way, build the observer in its own way. They don't interact in a way that makes them tightly coupled. That means you can work on them separately. So subject doesn't know anything about its dependents, right? Observers. and it doesn't know about their types or anything. It just knows that they have implemented the observer interface, right? And the observers don't know anything about the subject. They only care about implementing the interface, right? And getting the updated value. So observers can come and go without touching the subject code. Yes, you can attach and detach observer at any time. So it doesn't impact or affect subject at all. So you're promoting loose coupling. The other thing is open close principle. So if you have learned solid principle, you already know about the open close principle, right? So basically, you can add new observers and remove old observers from the subject list, right? And it doesn't change a thing in the subject. So it promotes open close principle. Broadcast communication, yes, whenever a thing changes in the subject, it can broadcast that update to a lot of observers, right? So broadcast communication is supported by dynamic relation. Again, you can add and you can basically subscribe and unsubscribe at runtime, of course. And then finally, event driven architecture, very important, right? Whenever you are going for high level design learning, you learn this architecture. So so whenever there happens certain event like event listeners or changes in the GUI, right? That change has broadcasted to all of the listeners. So it works on the event-driven architecture. Okay, so these are some of the benefits of the observer pattern. There are more, but we'll cover this only in this lecture. Finally, let's talk about the structure of the design pattern, and then let's go ahead and implement. Right. So let's start with the subject. So you will define a subject interface, right, which will have three most important functions. Those would be attach, detach, and notify. So you have defined an interface with these three methods, right? This one is used to attach, to subscribe basically. This one is used to detach or unsubscribe. This is to send notification to all of the observers, right? Then you will define concrete subjects. So you have defined an interface, you will define its implementation, right? So any subject that needs to send or broadcast notification, that would implement this interface and will become a concrete subject. So a specific implementation of the subject, and this will call the notify whenever its state changes. Simple enough. Then we have listeners. First of all, we'll define the interface as always, right? So we'll define an interface that would have an update method. So whenever a subject calls the notify method, right? So it will have a list of observers. It will go through list of observers, and for each observer, it will call the update method, right? So you'll define an observer with update method, and then you will define concrete observers, right? Basically, implementation of the observer. So whichever class you want to get update from a subject, you will in that class you will implement the uh, observer interface, and then you will subscribe to the subject, right? In the subject, you will call the attach method basically. As simple as that, right? So these are core structure of observer pattern, right? So now that we know about the structure of it, let's go ahead and implement it. All right. So as you can see, I have an observer uh, package, and then I have a subject package, right? So in the subject package, of course, I'll define the subject, and in the observer, I'll define the observer. So let's start with the observer, right? It's an interface, so simple interface with one method, that is update. Whatever details you want to pass, whatever details related to update you want to pass, you'll pass inside of it. So I've defined an update method with a simple, with a symbol and price. So basically I'm defining basically I'm building uh, uh, a project, simple project, which keeps track of the stock price, right? That's why I need the symbol of the stock and its current price. Whenever price of a stock changes, it will broadcast its new price to all of its observers, as simple as that. So I have an observer with update method, as we have discussed here. uh, One observer with an update method, simple, right? We have defined that. Now let's define the concrete observers. So I have two observers that need the update. One of which is console logger. Apologies. One of which is console logger. So it will log the update on the console, right? As simple as that. And the other one is the file logger. It will print the the price, current price on a file, text file, right? In our case. So I define the file writer. I'll write on the file as a log message. I can show that here, right? This will be the file that will get updated, right? This is a text file. Now, I've defined file logger and console logger. These are two observers, and then I'll define the subject. If you remember, the subject is an interface that has three methods: attach, detach, and notify. So I have attach observer, it will get an observer. Then detach observer, of course, you'll get an observer which needs to be unsubscribed or detached. And then notify observers, or notify, whatever the method you would like to call, right? Which will be used to notify the changes to its observer. As simple as that. Then you can go ahead and define a concrete subject. In my case, it is a stock. So I have a stock. Whenever its price changes, I want to broadcast that change to observer, right? So I have defined a stock. It implements the subject, right? Similarly, all of the concrete observers implement observer, right? So I have a stock, implement subject. So it needs to override all of the method: attach, detach, notify. I'll talk about in a moment. Now, since the subject itself is taking care of the the list, observer list, we'll define the list also here. Uh, and then, of course, random number generator for generating a random price of our stock, right? So first of all, we have a list of observers, right? Copy and write array list, which is basically thread safe, right? So if you have multiple threads, you want to access this, and you want to make sure that this is thread safe, you can define copy and write array list. Now, we have a constructor, simple thing, nothing special, symbol of the stock and its initial price. After that, attach observer just adds the observer into the list of observers. Detach method removes the object from the observer list, as simple as that. Now the notify. Notify, what will do? It will go through all of the observers from the observer list and then simply call the update method that you have defined here. And it requires two methods, so you will pass those two. Sorry, it requires two uh, arguments, so you will pass those two here. As simple as that, this is notify. Right. Now, important thing here is that this is important part. Since we are not actually fetching the data from anywhere, so we are basically simulating change of stock every 5 seconds, right? So every 5 seconds, I've defined the scheduler, right? So every 5 seconds, you can see every 5 seconds, I've defined the unit here. So 5 seconds, every 5 seconds, what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the price of the stock, right? So I'll calculate the new price using the random number generator, right? And as you can see, I'm making a fluctuation of 5 plus minus, either 5 plus or 5 minus. Once I've gotten that, the change in the price, I'll add the change. It could be plus or minus 5 in that range. And then once I have that, I'm simply calculating the new price. And once I have the new price, I'm calling notify observer. Whenever basically this is setting a new price, once you have set the new price, you will call the notify observer, right? So that whenever the price changes, all of the observers get a notification. And once we call it, all of the observers will get the notification, as simple as that, right? So if I go ahead and run it, right? So I have created a new stock, TCS, initial price 3,500, right? So I define two loggers, console logger and file logger. I pass the name of the file, prices.log, as you can see here, right? Now, even if it is not there, it will create new file. If it is there, it will open, right? So I'm attaching both console logger and file logger together, and then I'm calling the start feed price feed. Basically, in the stock, I'm calling this function. So it will create the scheduler and will start this task, right? It will run this task every 5 seconds. Now, if you just do it, execute till this point, the main thread will come here, complete the execution, and will terminate itself, right? We won't see anything on the console. You need to make sure that the main thread is still alive after executing this line, so that whenever a price change happens, you can actually see that, right? So what you can do, you can simply make this thread sleep, the main thread, right? So I'm calling thread.sleep for 30 seconds, right? So even after executing this, main thread is not going to sleep. It will it will be alive so that we can see the changes. So if I go ahead and run it, but first of all, I'm not attaching the file logger. I'm only attaching the console logger, right? So if I go ahead and run it, right? So every 5 second, initial price is 35, 02.45. So every 5 seconds, as you can see, we are getting a new price, right? And I'm logging it here because console logger actually subscribes to the price changes, right? To stock basically. That's why we are getting it here. But if you see here, there are no changes in the price log because the price log, the file logger hasn't been subscribed to the stock. So if you subscribe this also, now both of them will get the update and both of them will do their job, which is console logger will log the price on the console, as you can see, and the file logger will log the prices here. As you can see, two prices. If I go back, come back here, three prices, right? So you can log on the file. So when you close it, all of the logs on the console will be lost, but the logs on the file will remain here, right? So we have defined two observers, which is console logger and file logger, right? And both of them get update from the stock, which is the subject, right? Using the notify observer method, notify method, whatever you'd like to call it, right? So whenever a price changes of the stock, it notifies all of its observers. If you want, you can try and make some changes here, try to learn it, right? Call the detach function, attach function, right? Initially we have already called the attach function. You can define, you can make the thread sleep for 10 seconds and then detach the console logger. You can play around, make some changes in the code, right? I'll provide the code in the description of this video, right? I'll provide you this code. I'll upload it on GitHub and then provide you this. There is another way you can implement the same, in which, as you can see, as of now, the subject itself is taking care of keeping a list of observer and notifying them. Of course, it will notify them, but it is keeping track of the observer. You can define, you can implement the same in a different way where you have a middleman. So whenever something changes, the subject will notify that middleman. That middleman will notify all of the observers. The subject doesn't directly interact with all of the observers, or neither it keeps a track of the observers. It only notifies the middleman, right? You can implement it that way also. So it promotes even more decoupling, right? Loose coupling. Yeah. The other way is that as of now, we are broadcasting to every single one of them. You can define one more method here to notify, and you can pass an observation so that you can also implement one-to-one communication. It is possible that you want to send a notification to only a single device, only a single observer, right? In that case, you can add another method here, which takes argument as the observer to which observer you want. The third thing you can do, which is very famous in message queues like Kafka and all, you can define observer and you can make them subscribe to not just a subject but to an observation notification type, right? Which is so you can define a type, message type, and then they can subscribe to it. I forgot the terminology, what exact terminology is that, right? But basically the subject will have different types of messages. You can subscribe to only one of those, right? For example, it could have an email, notification, SMS. These three channels are there. So observer won't directly subscribe to the subject but to a message type, be it email, notification, things like that, right? So yeah, you can implement that also. If you want help in the implementation of the variation that I just discussed, do let me know in the comment section. I'll try my best, make a new video and then add all of the implementation there. All right. Well, for it, this is how you implement the observer pattern. All right. So this is it for this lecture. Thank you guys for watching. Until the next video drops, keep coding. Thank you.